All right. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Thanks for being with us here. Uh, you're our resident teacher and parent in Quality Classrooms, so you straddle both those worlds that everybody's trying to work with right now. So we got a couple questions for you. Uh,
Okay.
First is, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little background about you and your family.
Okay. My name's Chris Uhres-Todd. I'm a teacher. I've got three kids. One's in grade 7, one is in grade 4, and one started kindergarten in September. So I've got a nice range at home.
You got the wide
Uh,
range, yeah.
I do, yeah. And at school, I teach grade 3, 4 homeroom half time. I teach middle years art and EAL support as well.
Great. Okay, so you got a wide range of experience too. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so what made you decide to start teaching?
Um, all right, like all kids, you go through school and you want to be everything under the sun, and then all of a sudden I hit 17. I'm like, oh, this is it. I want to teach, and I loved it. I went straight into an education program,
Mhm.
and physical education as well as primary education, so elementary here, and loved every minute. Right into schools from I was 18, doing teaching practice and teaching block. And then I taught in a couple of different countries. When I graduated, I taught in England and Rwanda,
Mhm.
and then Togo, back to West Africa. And then I came to Canada, and I couldn't teach here because I couldn't get a teaching certificate. So
Oh,
that
okay.
was a shock, but I was able to go back to school and get my master's, and then I got back into the classroom, which was awesome. I missed it.
You missed it, yeah. Well, after so many years, I'm sure you did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good to get back.
Okay, so tell us a bit about when you're at home with your kids now, since so many people are home with their kids. What's a typical morning look like for you and your kids?
So I do a little bit of work before they're ready to start. I get up earlier than them and do a little bit of prep for my homeroom.
Hmm.
And then at 9 o'clock, around 9 o'clock, we get a message from my school, the announcements, and we listen to that and we stand for Canada, and that's our signal to get going for the day. So then I've got the two younger kids working with me in our home office, and my
Hmm.
grade 7 likes to go to her bedroom and work there, and I check in with her and I work a little bit, then check in with them when they need help. They come
Hmm.
to me when they're stuck. But obviously, with a kindergartner at home, he doesn't want to sit for long, and he shouldn't be sitting for long. So
Yeah.
he'll do a task, a 10-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute task, um, either on the floor or at his little desk, and then he'll go play. He'll say, "I'm done, mommy." Okay, go play.
Yeah.
Go do something. Yeah,
Okay, and that's working.
it's working. It's not easy.
It's a
We have days
start.
where we think I think I'm rocking this thing. I got it. Days that go really badly and are epic failures. So it's very much day to day. Lots of
Yeah.
ups and downs. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you have a home office. Would you say that that's a great place to set up a home learning area, or do you have any tips for anybody on how to set up a home learning area?
So I'm very lucky that I do have a separate room, and it has multiple workspaces in it, and we've created a little more since this all began. So I'm lucky I can have the three kids working with me at the same time, and then we can close the door to take a break. So it's a nice distinct area.
Okay.
So if that's possible, it's not possible for everyone. It's really nice. The other option we have tried is having a little basket for everybody to keep their work in.
Okay.
Um, and their devices, so that everybody has a movable object, so we can work in different places in the house but still keep our stuff together, because obviously the age of them, and also I'm pretty messy. We're all creative people, so we tend to be pretty messy.
Yeah, we
So a
spread out.
basket helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, a basket helps us keep things vaguely organized.
Nice. And then you can also put it away when the day's done, and it doesn't have to be that constant reminder of my pile of work is there or the couch is there and I'd rather be there.
Yes, getting the separation between work and home is definitely very challenging at the moment. So
Yeah.
any way to keep them segregated and know that I'm done for the day and I'm focused on the kids right now and they're not thinking about school, that's good.
Do you find that's a nice relief to have it be put away as opposed to just having the clutter or having the work always present?
Yes, for me personally, it needs to be out of sight. I need to know that
Yeah.
my work is in another place, and that's
Yeah.
how that helps me switch off.
Okay. So how do you, other than these, the little release when your young one is done, any other tricks for how to keep kids focused?
I actually just had a Teams meeting last week with my students about that, and they had some pretty good tricks.
Oh, great.
They suggested taking a couple of deep breaths before you start work. They also suggested doing most of your work in the morning if you can, and then
Nice.
knowing that you have if you get it done nice and quickly and well, then you have the rest of the day to play. So,
It's a nice reward. Yeah.
yeah, so they're already coming up with wonderful strategies, and I think asking our kids and our students what works for them to help them focus again really gets them thinking about it. They always come up with better ideas than we do.
Well, and they're the ones that they're invested in, right? They're the ones that they're
Mm-hmm.
interested in, so it'll go further.
Yeah, a little reward. Let's do this, then we have a break. Let's
Yeah.
do this, then we do the phys ed part or the craft or the art
Yeah.
as a reward. So like carrot rather than a stick.
Yeah. Do you call that bridging? My wife is using the word bridging from one concept or one action to the next.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with the word transition, but I
Yeah.
think bridging is a similar idea. So just moving from one transition and the bridge helps you get there. So
Right.
the idea of when we get there, we'll be able to do this afterwards. Yeah,
Right.
bridging transition, same. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of in the same vein. So for your kids, what does recess look like? Do you have, you said with your kindergartner, you have that recess break. Do you do that with the others as well when you're home?
Yeah, so we go upstairs, we make a snack, and the two younger ones especially need the outside time. I should have the outside time. It would be beneficial for me, but I don't always remember that.
Right.
So they do go outside. Even if it's raining, we're lucky we have a barn, so we kick them out to the barn, go play
Yeah,
tennis or.
you live outside the city, right?
Yeah, I'm a couple of miles outside, so we're lucky to have that space, and there's
Hmm.
always lots to do outside. So we are very privileged that way.
Yeah. But even just to get outside and get sun, rain, whatever, in anybody's yard or even on the front step, really, just to be in a different space probably helps.
Yeah, even being if it's raining, we'll sit out in the front porch where it's still dry, but you're getting fresh air and you feel like you've got outside time.
Yeah, and you hear the rain and can smell it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if a student's having a bad day at home, do you have any tricks for how to turn the day around? This is probably something that you used a lot in the classroom, but how can parents do these with their own kids?
So the break would be the first thing. If they're really struggling and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, I would suggest just taking a break,
Okay.
stepping away from it, having a snack, going for a walk, and then when they're ready and when you're ready and calm, then coming back to it. Because quite often it's us that struggle with it more than the students. I know for me, it's much easier for me to teach other parents' kids than it is to teach my own.
Yeah, it's a lot closer to home, literally. So
Yeah.
connected to that, do you find it hard to switch between your teacher hat and your parent hat, or how do you navigate that?
Definitely, because when I'm focused on teaching and my students, I want to do that. And it feels like an interruption
Right.
when my own kids need help, which isn't a good mindset to be in when you need to support them for their learning.
Right.
So I try to get them to do an independent task. And I say, when you're done that, then go have a break. Mommy's going to work for the next half hour till this time on the clock. And you need to try and problem solve yourself. And that's what we do in the classroom as well, is encourage that problem solving. If you can't figure it out, go on to the next one. When we get together and talk about it, then we'll talk through the issues, but you need to work independently.
We can circle back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself going into teacher mode with your kids? And is that different?
And they point it out to me.
Oh, do they like it or not like it?
It depends.
Of course.
Sometimes they like it because it's helpful. Sometimes they're like, no, they fight
This
it.
is overly teacher now. Okay.
Yes. Oh, mommy, you sound like my teacher.
I'm
Uh,
sure.
they're also in, they're also in French immersion, and my French is terrible, so that's an added challenge.
Okay, so they're teaching you French at the same time.
Yes, and I'm
Okay.
failing miserably.
I guarantee you're not the only one who's in those shoes. We're there too. Both of our kids are in French immersion, and neither my wife or I speak French fluently. We both know a little bit, but they're quickly outpacing us.
Yeah, when you're problem solving and only understanding every fifth word, it's
Yeah, yeah,
quite
that's
the
a
show.
problem. We're not quite there. We're not at the grade 7 level yet. Uh, so what do you have any advice for parents struggling to keep up with the schoolwork that the schools are giving us? Is there any tips for that? What's we'll come back to this a couple times, but any tips for parents struggling?
So I've actually talked to a number of my parents and said what we did a few weeks ago to make things easier was to put an asterisk beside the work that we really wanted them to focus on.
Great,
So if
prioritizing.
they were, yeah, so if they were feeling overwhelmed, they could drop the rest and just focus on the core tasks.
Okay,
But we also have parents and kids that want lots of work. They want
right.
to be busy. They want the creative. So we're trying to find the balance, which it's a challenge. Um, I would say prioritize what your child is interested in as well.
Okay,
So follow the interest. If they're interested, they're going to be much more motivated. And we
and
know that
easier to
as
get into the
teachers.
projects. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If they're not interested, they show resistance. Drop it.
Oh
Let
yeah.
the teacher know. The teacher will understand.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat at the moment.
Yeah. And that's something that's really flexible now that you're at home that you can't always do in the classroom. But you do have students in the classroom who are lagging behind or wanting more work. So would you say that we're expecting a similar spread when you get back into the class?
Um, our expectations are always so different for each student anyway. We're
Right.
very focused on individual learning journeys and making sure that we're meeting each kid where they're at. So the same is going to be when we go back. We understand that some students will have done everything we have given them,
Right.
and more, and
Yeah.
will have done their own independent research topics because they're motivated and that's what they like doing.
That's what
We
they're
also
interested
will have
in.
students, we also will have students that will have done very little,
Yeah.
and also students that will have had no support from home either because their parents aren't able to, they're working, or
Yeah.
they're just not able to support. So we will be very flexible coming back, and I'm hoping parents will be too. They'll understand. They've been in this journey for the last how many weeks now?
It's almost a couple of months at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get it. It's hard.
So that's a really big key. The takeaway that from that bit is if your kid is interested, run. Like just go with it
Yes.
because any gains you're making now will help later on anyway.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so then what's the difference between a Monday and a Friday for you? Are the days all blurring together like for some of us?
Not for me because Monday is the start of the week. So we set new learning Monday to Thursday, and then Friday is a catch-up day. So
Nice.
I'm working between early years and middle years, and I'm working on two different platforms.
Right.
So my homeroom in early years, we're setting a daily plan each day. In middle years, as an art specialist, I'm setting work on a Monday and a Wednesday.
Okay, and then
So
leaving time to work.
yes, yeah, leaving time to submit because we understand that sometimes you need to take a day off. And also being flexible with deadlines, especially with middle years. With early years, it's flexible deadlines. With middle years,
Sure.
our platform insists that we set a deadline.
Okay.
But it's not a harsh deadline. It's just an encouragement to get the work in because we are going to set more.
Yeah. You don't
And
want to
some
fall
students
behind.
are doing it. Yeah, some are doing it and some are not. And I'm understanding with that. I get it.
Yeah. So what do you find is the biggest challenge you're facing teaching at home compared to at school?
The balance. for sure the balance, trying to meet the needs of my kids at home and also meet the needs of students.
Right. So your
And
work. Yeah.
yeah, letting go of, as teachers, we have very high expectations of ourselves, and we need to let go of that a little bit. And that's a challenge for us. And also understanding that students have expectations of themselves as well, and being kind to families and students who are struggling. We're all struggling with this. So
Yeah.
having that lens of understanding and knowing that everybody's doing their best.
Yeah. Gentle encouragement. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you've touched on this a bit, but you said you schedule your own work. So is that how you get your own work in? You set your kids a task, or are there other things that you do to get your own, whether you're working at home, like some of us have, office jobs that we're working at home. Yours is school and family, but any other tips for somebody who needs to like take a moment to get some actual other work done?
So I do some of the prep either in the morning before they wake up or in the evening when they go to bed.
Right.
But with teaching, I can't do all of it. I need to do some of that during the day. We also quiet time between 1 and 2. So we have lunch from 12 to 1.
Yeah.
Quiet time between 1 and 2. And unfortunately, my kindergartner has given up his nap. So it's a time for everyone. Yeah. We had good 5 years of good napping, so I can't complain.
But a definite break in the middle of the day.
Yes. So that time is for them to go to the rooms, do some reading, do some quiet activities, lie down in their bed if they want to, or just potter about in their room. I don't mind what they do, but they need time just to be by themselves.
Yeah.
Quiet time. Yeah. And I work during that time. So it means I get some things done without interruptions.
Yeah. We sometimes call that FOB, flat on bed.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so how can parents ensure that their kids are prepped to return to school? When that happens, what are parents coming to you with concerns, or what's your encouragement for what can they do to be ready, to help their kids be ready?
So I teach reading with my grade 3-4 homeroom, and I would say reading. Whether that is, whether it's audiobooks, any type of reading that they possibly can do is wonderful. Whether you're reading with them, it doesn't matter. Anything. Following along in a book, just reading will expose them to everything else. There's something called the Matthew effect, where the more you read, the more you know. So I'm a big advocate of reading and following their interests, not worried about level text, just follow their interests. If they're interested in dinosaurs, go to Epic Books or find some books. The library is difficult at the moment.
Yeah.
Anything. Find
videos
lots
online too. So
yeah. And that's the thing. Thinking of text is not just words in a page. It can be looking at articles online. It can be watching YouTube. It could, like, text comes in so many different formats. So just exposing the language, rich language, focusing on what they are interested in. And I think that if they're able to do that and exposed to lots of different text, that will help with everything else too.
Yeah.
The other thing, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The other thing was math. If you could make math, I mean, I'm setting a variety of math tasks, but a lot of them are fun and game-like. So trying to use, I sent my students home with dice and playing cards. So
nice.
if you got playing cards at home, make some games out of it. I just set my students last week multiplication war to play with a family member. So like making math fun. A lot of students at this point are starting to see themselves as not being mathematicians and being bad at math. So trying to get rid of that mindset. We're all mathematicians. Math is fun, and making it fun, not a chore.
Yeah, exactly. And you've sort of focused on the two core grounding principles, would you say? Like math and reading. If you've got basic math and you've got a basic reading, that can elevate everything else, because everything else is sort of built on it, would you say?
Yes, I believe so. A lot of the science social studies we teach, we do that through reading as well.
Of course.
So it all ties in together.
Right. Any final tips for parents with kids at home right now? Anything else that we haven't covered, or anything that comes to mind?
Just be kind to each other, and that's for students and for parents. Be kind to yourself.
For sure.
Yeah, let go of that. I talk about the guilt of not doing either job particularly well. Let go of that. We're doing our best, and we need to celebrate that and keep on doing our best. And this will pass.
And we'll all reconnect and catch up when we can.
Yeah, on a new normal.
Yeah, on the new normal. That's right. So one final question. You sort of tipped at it, but have you ever wanted to just write off a school day? Like, do you have those days where things have just gone off? And so
as a teacher, I can't do that. But as
Yeah.
a parent, a number of my parents have contacted me and said, we took a day off. And I said, well done. If you need to take a day off, take a day off.
Yeah, and if the kids, if that's what's going to help tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. If you need to, do it. And don't feel guilty about it. Do it and come back fresh. And then prioritize what your student's interested in. Have fun with it.
That's great. That's all very good advice. Thank you so much for taking time out to chat with us and fill us in a little bit about your life and give us a couple tips for some of us parents at home.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.